I recognize the official opposition House Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today not only as a member of this legislature, but as a representative of New Brunswickers who drive to work, haul goods, put food on our tables, our motorists, our truckers, and our farmers. These are the very people who will bear the burden of Bill 4, an act respecting petroleum product pricing introduced by the Liberal government under the pretext of fairness and affordability. But, Madam Speaker, we on this side of the House see through the veneer of political convenience. This bill does not provide relief to working families. It does not ensure long-term affordability, and it certainly does not help those industries that quite literally keep our province moving, growing, and fed. So let's begin at looking what the Liberal government claims this bill will do. We're told that Bill 4 is about consumer protection, that it will stabilize fuel prices, and that it will shield New Brunswickers from market shocks and global oil volatility. And it's going to do all this by placing new regulatory controls on petroleum pricing and allowing government intervention in how and when prices are adjusted. But, Madam Speaker, this is not a rescue plan, it is a control plan. History shows us clearly that when a government attempts to micromanage markets, especially essential commodities like fuel, the outcome is almost always the same. Costs rise, scarcity increases, efficiency plummets. This bill will not protect consumers. It will protect a narrative that says government knows best and that the private sector cannot be trusted. And that's not the future that New Brunswick needs. Now, Madam Speaker, let's plainly speak about the impact on motorists. There is no family in this province that doesn't feel the squeeze of rising costs. Fuel is not a luxury in New Brunswick. It's a necessity. Whether it's a young family driving their kids to school, a senior getting a medical appointment, or a small business owner making deliveries, each one of them depends upon fuel. Under Bill 4, the government proposes pricing regimes that insert regulatory panels and ministerial authority into weekly and even daily fuel pricing. And here's the problem. Once you disconnect fuel prices from global markets, you delay the benefits of falling prices and risk overcompensating when markets do rise. So just imagine a New Brunswick truck driver or driver period filling up on a week when crude prices drop. They drop sharply. But the regulatory pricing set by government still reflects outdated or lagging figures. So I ask you, who's going to pay the difference? The driver is, every single time. This bill allows government to freeze, adjust, or delay fuel price updates, but prices rarely freeze downward. When the cost of fuel goes up, adjustments will be rapid. When prices fall, I think we can all agree we can expect a lag. We can expect confusion, and we can expect frustration. And, Madam Speaker, this bill allows for maximum price thresholds, but not minimums. So, in competitive markets, independent gas retailers may still be squeezed out, unable to compete under a system tilted towards larger chains, better equipped to navigate new regulations. This will not be a win for consumers. It is a loss of responsiveness, a loss of competition, and ultimately, a loss of trust. So now let's turn our attention to the transportation and trucking industry, one of the pillars of our provincial economy. Madam Speaker, trucks are the veins of commerce here in New Brunswick. They carry our food, our medicine, our manufactured goods, everything we buy in this province, everything we export is touched by this industry. And truckers do not need political interference in fuel pricing. They need certainty. They need transparency. They need the ability to forecast and plan with precision. But Bill 4 undermines all of that. Fuel costs are one of the largest expenditures in the trucking sector. When prices are governed by transparent market trends, logistics companies can build budgets and negotiate shipping contracts accordingly. But when the prices are regulated by a committee influenced by political pressure or government timing, companies are left guessing. So this bill introduces unpredictability. and unpredictability is poison to logistics. So just imagine a scenario where fuel price increase is expected due to global supply issues, and New Brunswick's trucking firms pre-purchase fuel based upon those forecasts. But then the government panel delays the price increase to appear pro-consumer. Now those companies have overpaid relative to the market through no fault of their own. They can't plan, they can't hedge, and they can't compete. And Madam Speaker, let's be honest, if transport companies are squeezed, where does that cost get passed on? To the consumer, to manufacturers, to retailers, to you and to me. Groceries will go up, construction materials will go up, business costs will rise, and inflation will creep in. This bill pretends to be very consumer-friendly, but it forgets that consumers are also the end point of every single supply chain it is disrupting. And Madam Speaker, let's never forget the farmers. They don't make headlines, bless their hearts. They don't often stand on protest lines, but God bless them, they feed us. They power our economy, and they form the backbone of rural New Brunswick. Under Bill 4, they become sitting ducks. Farming depends heavily on fuel. Diesel powers tractors and combines. Propane and other fuels are used in barns, irrigation, grain dryers, and refrigeration. Unlike urban industries, agricultural operations rely on high-volume, time-sensitive fuel and its use, especially during planting and the harvest. But Bill 4 offers them no carve-outs, no seasonal protections, and no consultation mechanism, which this government purports to be very strong with. So what happens when a bad season and bad fuel policy collide? Farmers already operate on razor-thin margins, and when diesel prices are artificially delayed from dropping or spike suddenly without recourse, the cost to produce food soars. That cost doesn't evaporate, doesn't magically disappear. It continues to be passed down the line to processors, to retailers, and then once again, ultimately, to the consumer. A bushel of potatoes doesn't reach a grocery shelf by magic. Wouldn't that be wonderful? A liter of milk doesn't transport itself. Our farmers depend on fairness, not bureaucracy. They need policy that understands the rhythm of agriculture, not policy designed for urban optics. Bill 4 places farmers in the crosshairs, and it gives them absolutely no shield. Madam Speaker, one of the most troubling aspects of this bill is the centralization of power on the executive branch. So under Bill 4, the Minister of Natural Resources and Energy Development, I guess it goes to Minister of Natural Resources to the side maybe, and just energy development, is given broad authority to appoint a petroleum pricing panel, to override decisions, to modify pricing formulas, to adjust margins, to suspend market-based pricing in whole or in part without meaningful legislative input. And this is far beyond regulatory fine-tuning. This is full-blown executive discretion over an essential commodity. So I ask you, where is the accountability? Where is the transparency we are so often hearing about? Where are the safeguards for independent retailers, small businesses, and consumers? This isn't a democratic approach to regulation. It is command economy structure, with all the inefficiencies, distortions, and temptations that come with centralized pricing authority. Madam Speaker, there were definitely opportunities to get this right. This legislature could have explored fuel tax reductions especially during peak periods of volatility. It could have targeted rebates or tax credits for rural residents, seniors, or low-income families. Agriculture and trucking fuel incentives could have been employed, or exemptions could have been placed. Investment in regional storage capacity to buffer global supply swings could have been enacted. They could have negotiated fuel purchasing programs for essential services or bulk users. But none of these options are included in Bill 4. Instead, we are handed a framework that says government knows best, without demonstrating how that knowledge will serve the people better than a fair and transparent market. The Progressive Conservative Party believes in markets, but more importantly, we believe in people. We believe New Brunswickers are capable of making informed choices, and we believe government should be their partner, not their puppet master. Madam Speaker, let me close by naming plainly and directly the people this bill is going to fail. It fails the motorist, who deserves transparency at the pump. It fails the trucker, who needs predictability, not politics. It fails the farmer, who cannot afford another layer of risk. It fails the small business, who depends upon fair delivery costs. It fails rural New Brunswick, where long commutes are not a luxury but a necessity. It fails consumers, who will ultimately bear every new cost created by artificial interference. This bill is not about clean governance. It is about controlling headlines. It is not a solution to fuel affordability. It is a distraction from real economic reform. And we on this side of the House will not support Bill 4. We will stand with our farmers, our truckers, our families, and our future. We call upon the government to withdraw this flawed legislation and return to the table, not with political talking points, but with real solutions, because New Brunswickers deserve better.